My fiancée and her family laughed at my late mom during the rehearsal dinner, so I canceled the wedding right then and there without a second thought. Hey, Reddit. The night before my wedding was supposed to be a celebration. A rehearsal dinner filled with love, laughter, and the anticipation of a new beginning. Instead, it turned into a public humiliation I will never forget, and a turning point I never saw coming. Her name was Emily. We'd been together for almost 4 years. Met through mutual friends, started slow then grew fast. She was witty, charming, driven. The kind of person people naturally gravitated toward. My friends called us a power couple. I believed it. I thought we had that rare connection that could outlast anything. I even thought she understood me better than anyone ever had. I was wrong. My mother passed away from ovarian cancer 2 years ago. She was my rock growing up, raising me alone after my dad left when I was just a kid. I still remember her hands always busy with something. Cooking, sewing, wiping my tears. Her laugh echoed in my childhood home. When she died, it gutted me. Emily was there for me, or so I thought. She held me through the funeral, helped me sort through her belongings. At the time, I believed she respected her memory. That assumption would shatter in the worst way possible. The rehearsal dinner was held at a fancy vineyard Emily's parents had rented out. Everything looked perfect. Candles flickered on linen-covered tables, wine flowed freely, and the guest list was filled with smiling faces. My best man gave a heartfelt speech that had me misty-eyed. Then Emily's father took the mic. That's when things began to spiral. He started off joking about how marriage was like a prison sentence, which got a few awkward laughs. Then he turned toward me. "Now, I know you lost your mom a while back," he said. A smirk on his face, "but you've got the real prize now. Emily's going to fix all that lonely mother-obsessed energy you've been dragging around." I froze. A few people chuckled, not knowing whether to laugh or cringe. I glanced at Emily expecting shock or embarrassment. Instead, she was covering her mouth, stifling a laugh. Her mother chimed in loudly from her seat. "Oh, don't worry, honey. He'll finally stop talking about those homemade meatloaf dinners. Maybe now he'll eat real food." I felt my chest tighten. These weren't just jokes. They were digs. Public ridicule about the most painful loss of my life. Then, Emily took the microphone. I thought she changed the tone, shift back to warmth, but instead she laughed and said, "To be fair, babe, you have brought up your mom at least once a week for the past 2 years. I mean, I'm marrying you, not your mom's ghost. Right?" Laughter erupted. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Her voice faded under the ringing in my ears. Everyone was looking at me, expecting me to laugh along or say something witty in return, but I just stood up. Heart pounding. Palms sweating. I looked at Emily. Her face still held that smug, playful grin. I looked at her parents. They were already halfway into their wine, chuckling like they just pulled off a clever prank. Then I scanned the room, saw my cousins and friends shifting uncomfortably in their seats, unsure what was happening. Then I spoke. "I can't marry you." The room went dead silent. I didn't plan a speech. I didn't yell. I just said it calmly, clearly, like a truth that had just settled into my bones. "You mocked the one person who meant the most to me. You laughed at her memory in front of everyone. That's not love. That's cruelty." Emily's expression crumbled into confusion, then shock, then rage. She tried to grab my arm, but I pulled away. "You knew how much she meant to me," I said, "and you made me feel like remembering her was something to be ashamed of. I can't spend the rest of my life with someone who thinks grief is a punchline." Her father stood up and barked. "Don't be dramatic, son. It was a joke." I turned to him. "No. It wasn't. It was disrespect, and I'm done." I walked out just like that. No dramatic exit music. No screaming. No running. Just a man walking away from a future he thought he wanted. Realizing that respect, basic human decency, mattered more than any ceremony or white dress. I sat in my car for almost an hour. My phone buzzed non-stop. Emily, her parents, even some of my friends who were trying to understand what had just happened. I didn't respond. I drove back to my apartment, took off the tuxedo jacket, and stared at the ceiling in silence for the rest of the night. The next morning, I woke up to a storm of social media chaos. Emily's side was spinning a narrative that I overreacted, that I humiliated her in front of her family, that I was too emotionally damaged to commit. But then, messages started pouring in from people who had been there. People who had watched the whole thing and were stunned by how casual and cruel her family had been. One of my aunts texted me saying, "You did the right thing." That was no joke. I lost thousands on the wedding, of course. Venues don't care about personal tragedies, neither do florists or caterers, but I felt a strange calm in the middle of all the emotional wreckage. For the first time since my mother died, I felt like I had defended her memory in a way that truly mattered. I thought that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. Emily didn't let it go. Not quietly. What started as missed calls turned into voicemails filled with accusations. Then came the texts. Then suddenly, she was outside my apartment. And that was only the beginning. Emily was standing outside my apartment building the next afternoon, clutching a cup of coffee like she was on some casual errand. Her eyes were puffy. Her makeup was smudged, but I didn't feel pity. I felt guarded. She spotted me through the glass entrance and rushed forward before I could even finish unlocking the front door. "Can we just talk? Just 5 minutes, please." I didn't answer right away. A part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, but the other part, the part that had once loved her, needed closure. So I stepped aside and let her in. She followed me up in silence. Once inside, I offered her a seat, but she didn't take it. She stood in the center of my living room like she was auditioning for forgiveness. "Listen," she said, her voice trembling. "I was drunk. My dad was drunk. We were just trying to lighten the mood. We didn't mean anything by it." I leaned against the counter. "You meant enough to laugh in front of people at the most painful thing I've ever been through. That's not just a mistake. Emily, that's a choice." She flinched. "You're blowing this out of proportion." I shook my head. "No. I'm finally seeing things clearly. This wasn't about one bad joke. It was the way you all looked at me while you were doing it. Like, I was weak for loving my mom. Like, that part of me was something to mock." She started pacing. "So that's it. For years, just thrown away over one night, I felt anger flare again. It wasn't one night. It was years of little things I ignored. The way your dad always rolled his eyes when I brought up how my mom raised me alone. The way your mom made backhanded comments about how I needed to stop clinging to the past. Even you, how you'd sigh every time I mentioned her." She stopped walking. Her silence said more than her words could. "You knew she wasn't here to see me get married. And instead of honoring that, you turned it into a punchline." There was nothing left to say after that. She left. No dramatic tears. No pleading. Just a quiet exit and a door clicking shut behind her. And for a few weeks, that was it. Until her brother called me. I didn't expect it. We were never close, but he always seemed like the only one in that family with a soul. He asked to meet for coffee, said he just wanted to talk. Curiosity got the better of me. We met at a small cafe near the park. He showed up looking uncomfortable, like he didn't want to be seen. And when he sat down, the first words out of his mouth nearly knocked the wind out of me. "I'm sorry for what they did. I wasn't there, but I heard, and you didn't deserve that." I sat there stunned. I asked him why he was telling me this, because you should know. He said, "Emily didn't just laugh because she thought it was funny. She laughed because she's always been weirdly resentful about how much you talked about your mom. She'd rant about it to us, said it felt like she was competing with a ghost." My jaw clenched. I thought she accepted that my mom was part of my life. That she respected her. He looked away. She faked it. Honestly, she thought if you got married, you'd finally drop the grieving act. Her words, not mine. I thanked him even though the words felt like acid in my throat. Then I went home and stared at the old photo of my mom on the nightstand. For the first time in months, I cried. Not because I missed her. I always missed her, but because I realized I had almost let someone poison her memory forever. But Emily wasn't done. She started showing up at events where she knew I'd be. Friends' birthdays, work functions, even my niece's soccer game. Each time she tried to act casual, like nothing had happened, like we could just pick up where we left off. Then came the letter, handwritten, left in my mailbox without postage, said she forgave me as if walking away from her cruelty was the sin. She wrote that she hoped I had time to process everything and would come to realize that I'd overreacted and that she'd welcome me back with open arms. I didn't respond. Instead, I packed up the last box of items she'd left at my place. Some clothes, a book, and a necklace she claimed belonged to her grandmother, and dropped them at her door. I didn't leave a note, just closure in cardboard. A few months passed. Slowly, the gossip around us died down. People stopped whispering. My social circle adjusted. Some friends who took her side naturally faded out. Others doubled down and stayed loyal and steady. I started therapy finally. And during one session, my therapist asked me something simple but powerful. What would your mom have thought about all this? The answer came so easily, it surprised me. She would have told me to walk away and never look back. That love without respect isn't love at all. For the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. The venue cancelled. The rings were returned. The dress probably sold. The chapter was over. I still pass by that vineyard sometimes on drives out of town. It looks southwest, beautiful from the road. Peaceful. Serene. But all I see when I look at it is a moment that broke the illusion I had of someone I thought I loved. In the end, I didn't lose a wedding. I lost a lie, and I'm okay with that because love should lift the dead, not laugh at them. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you would have done in his place. See you in the next one.